Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Lunenburg Select Board, which, in the absence of Mr. Jeffries, I, as Vice Chair, now call to order. Today is Tuesday, August 8th, 2023, and it is 6:30 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube after the meeting. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the Vice Chair in this case. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. With that, do we have any public comment from the board?
Just one thing, Mr. Chair. I just want to let everybody know that the final concert of the Town Band Concert Series is next Monday, August 14th. I don't know if they played last night. They said on Facebook they were, but then it looked iffy, so I did not go. But I don't know if they actually played. Anyway, that notwithstanding, next week is the last week, so please come on down in front of the TC Patio, 7 o'clock, to hear their finale concert of the season.
Do you have any comment?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you. I have one comment, public comment. There will be a pancake breakfast tomorrow morning at the Eagle House from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Is there any public comment from the public?
No one on Zoom.
Seeing none, we'll move on. Whoops. Okay, do we have, well, we now turn to a public comment announcement from the town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you.
So this comment or announcement relates to the resignation of two members of the Board of Assessors. So last Wednesday, the chairman of the Board of Assessors, Richard Letarte, and Board of Assessor member Kevin Fish resigned. Recognizing that this may be cause for alarm for many, this meeting is intended to address the short and long-term implications of being down to one member of the Board of Assessors. Since the board is down to one member, the board cannot hold meetings or vote on any required votes until at least one of the positions is filled, as a quorum of two members would be required to hold a meeting, and the single remaining member of the Board of Assessors cannot act on his own. Before Mr. Letarte and Mr. Fish resigned, the board voted on all the pending abatement applications, and at their last meeting on August 1st, also addressed a handful of abatement applications that had additional information that impacted their assessed values. However, anyone that wished to meet with the board on their abatement application to provide supplemental information that has not done so and received a signed-off abatement form will not be able to do so until there's a quorum of that board. Those that filed abatement applications on time and received notification of the decision of the board and wish to appeal further to the ATB must do so within 3 months of the date of the decision by the board, per Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 65. Outside of any persons that still wish to meet with the assessors to provide supplementary information on their abatement application that are still within the 3 months of the date of the decision on their abatement application by the assessors, there are no required votes of the board or signatures needed that are necessary in order for business to proceed as normal until the tax classification hearing and the relevant tax rate forms need to be submitted this fall. The forms that are submitted, which must be signed by assessors that have become certified by taking Module 0 and 4 under the DOR 101 course. I have been meeting with office staff and our consultant to check in on day-to-day operations and discussing the progress of the required actions, such as making sure data entry on new construction inspections are entered, lot splits and sketches, sending sales verification forms, etc., to confirm we are on schedule with the calendar of actions that need to take place to keep on track for the tax classification hearing and submittal of the required tax rate forms, and what we need to do for our 5-year certification of values process. I will continue to meet weekly with the interim assessor and the consultant to monitor the progress. To summarize, in the short term, operations commence without a major impact. The long-term implications are much more dire. There exists no alternative other than having at least 2 members of the Board of Assessors that have passed Module 0 and 4 under the DOR Course 101 to sign off on the tax rate forms and ultimately certification of values. This will require at least 1 registered voter, preferably 2, to step up and be willing to take these self-paced online courses and be able to pass them as soon as the end of September. This will also require our 1 remaining Board of Assessor member to take and pass these 2 modules by the same timeline. The process for filling these 2 vacancies is outlined in the town charter per section 3-1, in that the remaining members of the elected board with the vacancy, in this case vacancies, and the select board can fill a vacancy after 1 week's notice of the date on which such vote will be taken. Upon receipt of the resignation letters from Mr. Letarte and Mr. Fish, our office advertised the vacancies immediately. I will now turn this over to the Vice Chairman, Lou Franco, for additional comments about the need for volunteers to come forward to fill these roles in order for our town to function in the months to follow.
Thank you very much for that statement. The town manager's statement provides some indication of the importance of the Board of Assessors and the gravity of the situation in which we, the town, now find ourselves in the wake of these 2 resignations. The assessing department, including the principal assessor, interim principal assessor at the moment, and the 3-member Board of Assessors serves functions critical to the town's operations. The operation of the town depends on revenue raised through taxation, and the assessing department, in conjunction with and under the oversight of the Board of Assessors, determines the bases upon which taxes are assessed. Without a fully functioning assessing department, there is no revenue. And without revenue, operations of the town cannot be sustained. For the purposes of proper functioning of the town, the Select Board is putting out this call for volunteers and requesting that members of the public strongly consider service on the Board of Assessors. Your town needs your help. Although members of the Board of Assessors are normally elected to 3-year terms, the Select Board will need to appoint 2 members, or at least 1, on an interim basis. Although the current terms of the resigning members expire June and 2024 and June of 2025, May of 2024 and May of 2025, the term of any member of the public who is appointed on an interim basis would expire on the date of the next town election, May of 2024. Accordingly, each member appointed on an interim basis would then need to run in his or her own right next May. So that if you get a chance to test drive the position too. So you're not necessarily committed to a 3-year term. The terms are 3 years when you are elected to a full term. Even as we put out this call to service, and even though the runway for resolution of this issue is short, we still need to find candidates who are good matches for the position. Desirable qualities and skills include the ability to work with numbers and be heavily data-driven. The position relies on data, and decisions are made based on data. Some of them are inflexible in terms of once a certain data set has been determined, the decision has essentially been dictated in that direction. There are, of course, other decisions that are made with discretion, such as the granting of abatements and exemptions, but generally speaking, it's data-driven. As with service on any board, committee, or commission, a good candidate is willing to learn and work to achieve the command of rules and regulations necessary to contribute and be effective. One is not expected to come into the position with substantial specific knowledge, but must be diligent and committed to acquiring it. Again, as with any board, commission, or committee, a good member will be a person of integrity and intellectual honesty who can see issues from many angles, collaborate in constructive deliberations with other board members, and render decisions in a fair and impartial manner. It is also imperative that a member of the Board of Assessors work cooperatively, constructively, and professionally with the town's paid staff, including not just those who work in the assessor's office on a daily basis, but the town manager, the finance director, the tax collector, and all other personnel with whom he or she may come into contact. I would also add that to my own statement that you may have occasion to engage with members of the public, and you must do that in a courteous and professional manner as well, receptive to the public's concerns, and also with other boards and commissions or committees. Any person potentially interested in serving on the Board of Assessors should first visit the town's website and become acquainted with the basic roles and functions of the assessing department and with the Board of Assessors. Subsequently, interested persons should register their interest through Elaine Peterson, the executive assistant to the town manager. I thank you for your consideration and now turn to other members of the Select Board for any additional comments or observations on this matter.
Thank you. Yes, I think this is something that has come up over the past at least year, I think, just general service to town, volunteering and such. I think the current situation, the Board of Assessors is high priority, very urgent at the moment, of course. It's boiled to the top. But I want to take this opportunity to mention that there are other vacancies on other boards, committees, as well as employment opportunities in town. And I want to encourage anyone, everyone actually, to consider getting involved, being part of the solution if you think there are issues. And I know at the Board of Assessors and a lot of the other committees, it's not a cakewalk, it's work. It's going to take work, it's going to take effort, it's going to take time. But hopefully you can find fulfillment in doing that and contributing to your town. I'm just looking at the town manager report from last week and the vacancies. There's 5 other committees besides the Board of Assessors that came up. I'm not even going to count the employment opportunities that are listed. Yeah, I really hope people consider this. And actually, one question I had, maybe now's a good time to ask it. I know this has come up with the Board of Assessors, the meeting time. Because it is, I think, 3 o'clock or something in the afternoon, that could limit the possible candidate pool, if you will. And is that possible to change that meeting time, to open it up to people who maybe work full-time and can only do it in the evenings or something like that?
Meeting times are up to the committees.
Okay, so I don't want that to be a barrier for anyone to consider volunteering for this. And I don't know if now is the time. I have a question about to the town manager about the current.
It's free form.
Can I do it? Okay, or do I have to wait till the end? I think I know the answer. I just want to confirm it. So you mentioned we need at least a 2-member board, so we can have a quorum by, I think, the end of September, right? So are there no options from DOR if we don't meet that deadline?
No,
None.
no. That deadline.
the answer I was afraid of.
That's an estimated deadline for ours, September. That's when the process usually starts for those forms and certification of new growth and such that they need to sign off on. So that's why I used the September deadline. The tax rate hearing is early November before the special town meeting,
Right.
which is the middle of November. So that there's work to be done before that tax classification hearing.
So we have 6 weeks till the end of September, roughly-ish? Okay. That's all.
So I didn't officially prepare a prepared statement. I feel it. I do it extemporaneously. Volunteerism is how the town largely runs. So obviously there are paid employees in all different departments and all across the town, but this body school committee, planning board, board of assessors, conservation commission, finance committee, all of these, I mean, all the other host of committees, whether they're elected or appointed, play a critical role in the running of the town. Some of them, as is the case with, for instance, the Board of Assessors, have strict state mandates that go along with them. If you don't have enough people on the personnel committee, while not a good showing, it would not halt the town. But if you don't have some things, like if you don't have a full planning board, or you don't have a full conservation commission, or you don't have a full board of assessors, it has serious implications that our requirements from the state would not be met without a quorum at least. So the role is important. Ever since I've been involved in town, I've really done my best to try to get people involved as best I could. I've always marked at different milestones this kind of talk where I would encourage people to join. This one is probably one of the more critical ones. There's only one other one I can think of in my tenure that was as critical as this. So that was many years ago. So first I want to say that volunteerism is important. Now, people often say to me when they know that I've been on the board as long as I have, and they ask, why do you do it? I mean, it's the word many people use is like, it's a thankless job. And I always correct them and say it's not a thankless job. Actually, people thank you all the time. And not only do they thank you, but it's also its own reward, because you get to help guide an important small lane, whatever board or committee or commission you're on, you get to guide a small lane of the town in establishing good practices, in making it a place that's attractive to people to want to live and move to make it a place that gets things accomplished, that you can be proud of. There's a lot of things that are rewarding by doing the work itself. And I can't stress that enough. It's hard to, if you've never experienced that, it's hard to explain what that feels like. But if you've ever done a big project, whether it's at work or at your home, and you get finished, that kind of feeling of satisfaction is what I'm talking about. So it serves a great purpose, and it also is in itself its own reward. So I would encourage people, for those who may be on the fence about the public service that we always ask about, and the town manager, as Ms. Emke just said in her talk, and the outlining of all the open positions. If you're on the fence about any of those, this is the time. This is the time to do it. This is an important role. Not that all of them aren't important in their own way, but this is a very important role, and certainly in the short term. Now, anybody who's watched any of the meetings around town in the last 6 months, 7 months, knows of the turmoil that was the tax season, okay? So I would be lying if I said it's going to take, as Ms. Emke said also, it's going to take work to do it. But by the same token, I think you have a great opportunity to build up from, a new starting point. And I think things have been spotlighted and addressed that are weaknesses that we need to shore up. And somebody out there, if you're somebody who rolls up your sleeve to do these, this is the time. This is the time to have the most impact. Because, again, we're going to be rebuilding a department by strengthening things that have been revealed as weaknesses this year. We're looking, as Mr. Franco said, we're looking for people who are quick learners, who are at least comfortable around numbers. We're not asking for somebody to be a calculus whiz, but you got to be comfortable around numbers. Most important, that you're a team player, that you will listen twice as much as you speak in a committee of 3, and that you will work together to forge consensuses to come up with constructive solutions. These are the kind of people we're looking for. And I would really, I don't know if I speak for the rest of the board, but I will speak for myself, want to have the whole town represented. So, again, I don't want this to be focused, we've made this point on other appointments, like in conservation and sewer, I've made this point. I don't want people from one particular area in town or one particular type of resident. I want people to represent the whole town, and therefore we'd look for people in different areas. And of course, assessment affects everybody in the town. So unlike sewer, it affects everybody. We need you now. There'd be a lot of work to get started with the certification courses, but, you know, as far as we're able on this board, I mean, we don't have the authority of the Board of Assessors, but we will be here to help people, you know, at least get kickstarted if they needed to, and guide them in the right directions if they come forward. But it is ultimately the Board of Assessors who will be doing all the work. So I hope that these pleas of all of us, all four of us on the table, and I know that the other two who are not here would pitch the same request, that there are people out there listening and will put their names in to get started as quickly as possible, because really the work is important. And lastly, I don't want it to go by without saying I want to thank Rich Letarte and Kevin Fish for their service to the town and for their years on the Board of Assessors, and I know with Ms. Letarte in other areas of town as well. So I wish them the best, and I thank them for their service. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you both. I just want to add a couple of points based on what was stated. I agree with everything you both said. Thank you. And yes, yes, thank you, of course, to Mr. Fish and Mr. Letarte. And, you know, although this is tough right now and this hurts, you know, they did stay on through the hardest time of this year, and for that I am grateful, and I'm sure we all are. We couldn't have resolved it. We couldn't have gotten to this point without them sticking around and just staying through the toughest storm. Also, I will say, even if you yourself do not feel you can do it, or you're unwilling to do it, you don't have the time, what have you, if you know somebody, I mean, spread the word to get a little geometric progression on the message out there. And also, why I think stepping up now would be particularly rewarding for this, it is the most crucial need at the moment, but know that you would make an immediate positive impact on the town just by showing up and stepping forward and saying, here I am. You don't have to do anything profound or memorable, right? Well, that would be memorable, just stepping up and being there. You were there when the call was put out, and for that, you will be appreciated right off the bat. So, thank you.
Vice Chair, if I can add one thing, one plea I would like to make, and that would be any members who would be volunteering would be welcome, believe me. But I would also ask any prior members of the Board of Assessors, even if you don't intend on running next year, if you would act as an interim and be willing to get us from here to next May, knowing that and telling us that that's what you're doing, just to help us and to guide people along, especially a new member, and the only remaining member is a new member as well, that would be really beneficial. So if you have served on the Board of Assessors in the past, this request goes out to you. Consider, please, to just put in, I know you've probably done your time, but I would ask if you consider to just spend the next, 9 months to get us through this and to the next election, and give us some time to look for more permanent members. Thank you.
Second. I have a great candidate in mind for that, by the way, but I would never.
We're not going to mention that.
No, of course not. Of course not. I'm just saying. Okay, anything further to add, Madam Town Manager, on that?
No, just I want to reiterate as well, appreciation to the two members that resigned, Mr. Letarte and Mr. Fish, for their service to the town. Very much appreciated. Rich put in 8 years on the Board of Assessors. It's a very long tenure. But this was a tough year, and they, like Mr. Franco said, they stuck it out through that whole abatement process. So thank you to both of them.
Okay, thank you. Moving to current business, let's go to the warrants. We have is this accounts payable warrant?
Yes.
Yes? Yes, accounts payable warrant in the amount of $509,823.27. On-call fire payroll warrant and $4,046.04. Okay, payroll warrant in the amount of $237,226.46. Okay. Thank you. Do we have any action items? Okay.
I do not.
Okay, I don't either. Okay, upcoming meetings. We have currently scheduled upcoming meeting on August 15th and August 22nd. Nothing to say there. So moving now to final public comments. Any public comment from the town manager?
None, thank you.
Okay. Any public comment from the public? Mr. Rabbit.
John Rabbit, 314 Townsend Harbor Road, and I promised I wouldn't say anything, but there were two questions that kind of came up, and if I could provide some insight into that. The meeting times, there has been discussion with regard to shifting them towards a time where people can actually come and participate if so needed. And we have to keep in mind the staff and their prior commitments. So the discussion is possibly shifting it to another day and trying to get there. Since I can't have a meeting to discuss it further, we would do everything we possibly can to accommodate the staff as well as the new members that will be joining. So nothing's locked in, and there's nothing saying that. With regard to the modules and the concerns that the training modules, Heather, that there might be the modules 0 through 4. Actually, I'm just finishing up module 3 myself because I was going down. I'll have module 4 done hopefully over the weekend. I sincerely believe we can get those two members up to speed really fast, and I'm more than willing to help coach. I won't give them the answers, but I will certainly coach as much as I can to help them so we can get this thing back online. That's all I really wanted to say. We'll make it as easy as we possibly can for the new members. Don't get freaked out about the exam. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment from the public?
I will add one thing. If anybody is interested, but they have questions, I mean, I'm not an assessor, but I have fair enough background, especially after the crash course of the last 6 months. But if somebody wants to talk to me about the position before they apply, feel free. I am listed in my home number is listed, so feel free to call me, email me, and I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody if you want to discuss things before you put in your volunteer form.
Yeah, I'll add and put out that same offer, and I do have 11 years of experience on the Board of Assessors, so the preferred method of reaching out to me, though, would be through my town email initially, and then we'd set up a call that way. So yes, consider me an entry point as well. Any additional public comment from the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second? The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Have a good
Night,
evening.
everyone.